Okay, so where we left off was we just finally enter in our first bill. It's as simple and as easy as that, right? You just look at the form, you fill all the information, and you press save and close, right? Easy. Now the next part is going to be showing you how to be able to pay those bills off. Now, as we talked about this, right? When you enter in a bill, QuickBooks behind the scenes is actually creating a journal entry that is increasing your accounts payable. Now, the best way and recommended way to reduce the accounts payable is to use the pay bills function. Now, of course, with QuickBooks, the newer and later editions, they are now have the capabilities that if you decide to choose to click on write a checks window and you're entering in the information to pay a bill, QuickBooks will recognize it and be like, wait, are you trying to pay for this bill? And of course, you select yes. The best option to pay a bill is to just go ahead and use the pay bills option, okay? Don't go using the write it checks because sometimes it could be a hit or miss. Sometimes it will recognize it. Sometimes the information is just too vague that it won't be able to recognize it, or you might accidentally click no instead of yes, I am trying to pay a bill. So for any reasons of that, the best way to go is just to click on pay bills. Now, once again, let's explore how many ways there is to pay a bill. Okay? We obviously see the first one, which is on our home page, right? That's your go-to one. It is on your home page. Once again, we could go up to the vendors menu and you could pay your bills as well. All right? Any way that you get to the vendor center, so I'm going to go through my menu bar. Any way that you get to your vendor center, right? You have your new transactions right here, and you can choose to pay your bill. Okay? If I want to pay specifically a supply, I can right-click them and pay bill. Okay? I can even go down to manage transactions and also pay bill. In this case, it's called bill payment. Okay? And also, for instance, right, if you go to the bill tracker, you can also manage transactions and pay bills there. You can even just right click on, let's say I want to pay this bill. You can right click on it and pay it. Okay, so that's 7 ways. The last one, and I guess I call it the hidden one, is going to be, so let's see, it's going to be, okay, is going to be, if I double click on here, here's my bill, right? At the top of my bills window, I have pay bills. So that was 8 different ways that you can pay your bills. Okay? All right? 8 different ways. And you could be tested on one of the 8. Right? All right, so if I want to click pay bills, obviously if I click that one, it's only going to show me that one. But if I actually go on my home page, it's going to show me all the bills that I currently owe. And so as you can see, right, I have Wong and Son bill to pay as well. So if I go ahead and click on just my bills in general, right, then it will show me all the bills and I can pay multiple bills at one time. So there you go. I'm on my pay bills window on my home page, and notice this. I see all my bills that I owe. And guess what? I can also make a payment to both of them at the same time. Okay? So that's the great thing about using the pay bills function, is that you can pay multiple bills at one time. And of course, you're creating separate checks for these bills. Okay? Now let's take a look at this. So I have 2 bills. I have one for Wong and Son, and I have one for Ace Supply. Okay? Today is going to be considered February 8th. So make sure that you toggle and make sure that you make the payment date accordingly. So as you look down below, you're going to notice that you have a few options here, right? You have the options to select the dates that you want the check to be printed. All right, and of course you have the methods that you can pay too, right? You don't have to pay with a check. You can pay with a credit card. Okay, they give you that option right there. But in this case, the practice problem asks you to use the check to go ahead and pay these bills off. Okay. So let's see here. Our first thing that we want to do is that we want to see which ones that we actually received a discount for. So in this case, right, what we notice is that when we took a look at my Ace Supply, right, if I click on here and click Go to Bill, you're going to notice this. Like if I make a payment now, I am going to pay within terms. So therefore, I should be actually getting a 2% payment because I'm paying within discount term dates, right? So in this case, I have until the 18th to pay for this bill, okay? But in this case, let's see what date I'm going to choose to make a payment to. I'm going to make a payment on, it says I'm going to make a payment for Ace Supply, okay, $360, and I'm going to make this payment, hold on, we're going to make this payment, I'm going to say we're going to make the payment on the 10th, okay, so then here I'm going to go ahead and toggle the date, so that's what I'm going to do. Come down here and I'm going to say I'm going to pay them on the 10th. So there for sure, I should actually be eligible for this this charge, right? So if I go ahead and click on Ace Supply, right, and I click on this left side and I check mark that I'm going to pay this bill, right? You can pick and choose which bills to choose from or which bills that you want to pay. You're not obligated to pay all of them unless you feel necessary, right? So in this case, I'm going to make a payment to $20.85. Now notice this, as we mentioned before, I met the discount period. Okay, so that means I actually should be getting a discount. So let's take a look here under terms. Okay. Here, did I get a suggested discount? Let's go ahead and click on set discounts and let's take a look. Okay. In this case, right, let me pull my window over. Okay, in this case, I should be getting a discount from Ace Supply. And here, it seems like it's going to be calculated for me, right? It's going to be $7.20. All right, and that's what I am going to get a discount for because I'm paying within terms, okay? Now, because the account for the discount is going to be, or sorry, the amount for the discount is going to be $7.20. Now, here is where you need to create your account prior ahead of time so you're able to keep track of this exact purchase. So in this case, I have a purchase discount account. And then the next account here is, or the next thing that it says here is going to be discount class. Now, let's see, when I actually originally made the purchase, right, I believe I believe Ace Supply was for the Walnut Creek location. So in this case, for the Ace Supply, I'm going to apply this purchase discount for the Walnut Creek location. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and click Done. Now, what you're going to notice is that now that my discount has been applied, let's take a look. See, now it says that I have my total amount due for both bills, right? I have an amount of $352.80. Now notice this, I have $7.20 worth of discount. Now let's check it out. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to also pay Wong & Son as well. So then now, even if I'm adding this, right, it tells right here that I've applied the discount for just the Ace Supply. So it's taking it off of my $360 to make the total amount $352.80. okay? And that's how you take advantage of terms and apply it on to your bill payment, okay? And then, of course, because I made my checks going to be printed, I'm not going to print them now. I'm going to print them later, or to be printed, okay? I need to make sure it's my checking account. Everything looks good. I only have one discount, and that is for the Ace Supply. And I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Pay Selected Bills, okay? I should have got 2 beep of approvals because I paid for Wong and Son, and I also paid for Ace Supply. Now, here's the window where it says, it gives you this option where, hey, now that you paid your bills, right, and you set the printer to, or set the checks to be printed later, this is your option for you to go ahead and click to pay for these items. Or I'm sorry, to print out the checks, right? But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just click done, right? If I don't need to print out checks, maybe I need to pay some more bills, okay? Now, what you're going to notice here is now that I am going to click on my check register one more time, notice this. You're going to be seeing that your check register is going to be filled with more information, right? My bill payment showed up on my check register as a bill payment, okay? So that is the fine difference from using a regular check. If you wrote a regular check, it's going to appear as a check, okay? But if you're actually intending to pay a bill, it is called a bill payment. And here is where it reflects. And that's how QuickBooks keeps tracks of your bills that you owe and keep tracking of you making those payments. Okay? And again, it also keeps track of your check register in general, right? Making payments for whatever expense or items that you need to run your business. Okay? It keeps that good track. It even keeps track of deposits as well. So when we actually take a look at the next example, we're going to be depositing money to our bank, and it's going to appear here in our window. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click out of the check register. Okay. Now that I paid for my bills, right, the next thing I have to do is, once again, now I actually have to go ahead and write and print those checks. So once again, once you got out of that window, there are only 2 ways that you can go into if you skip that window, right? That would be technically the 3rd way. Okay. First way is going to be right here on your home page. You have the option to print your checks. Okay. Now the one that they tell you on your book is going to be, you're going to go to File, just like any standard program, right? You have a print on your File tab or your File menu bar. And in this case, it's not going to be print. It's going to be print forms. And if you go ahead and come over here, you got options. You got pretty much a pretty good view or options that you can print. So you can print anything such as like a bill payment. You could print checks. You could print credit memos. You could print labels if you want to. You can print out a lot of stuff, okay? And we'll take a look at this feature more so later on as we dive into the chapters. In this case, I want to print my checks. So then you're going to get this print checks window, okay? Here are all the checks that I've written so far that are pending to be printed. A total of 3, okay? 1 for Wong and Son, 1 for Ace Supply, and 1 for Orlando Properties, okay? Now, this is where you can choose to select the account that, once again, you're taking money out from. In most cases, you're going to take it directly out from your checking account. And this is where you can also assign your check numbers here as well. So in this case, it's already filled out as 6001. Okay? If you are planning to print your checks from the business office itself, you can create any check sequence number you like because it's going to be printed onto the check itself. But for those that have preset checks or empty checks that you can print on that already had automated numbers on there, what you're going to do is you are going to enter in the check number. So when you print the checks, it prints on that exact number. Now, of course, with that being said, there are often times, like I've mentioned before, right? You got to make sure that you buy the actual printer paper from either some kind of treasury, bank, some kind of agency that has this. You can do it through Intuit. They could ship it out to you. But most cases, right, they're not going to have a preset number on there. It's mostly going to be blank checks, and you manually print on them, okay? Now, with that being said, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and what's going to happen is going to pull you to a second print window. So this is where you can set the printer, right? You can set which printer is going to print it, and check out the properties for that, or the options, like is there front and back printing, etc., etc. You can see, you could change the fonts if you'd like. So once again, this is only for if you are printing vouchers. Okay, now let me explain what are the options that you can select from the places that you get your checks, right? You have three options. You have voucher style, you have standard, or you have wallet, okay? Voucher style is where you're going to have your information, your billing information, or whatever it is, why you're paying this specific person, or what are the details, account balances for this check. And underneath it, at the very bottom of the portion, is going to be a perforated line for you to tear out your check. Common one uses is going to be those for paychecks. If you guys have that fancy one where your company gives you your pay stub at the very top, and then underneath at the very bottom is where you can tear out your check, that's the one I'm talking about. Okay, that's called voucher style. You get all the detailed information, and then your check is right below. Okay. The second one's going to be standard. Standard is where it's literally a piece of paper, a standard piece of paper, and it's folded into three, and you can print 3 checks on there. Straightforward, right? Saves a lot of paper, right? Because you can always print your pay stubs on there, print your billing information on there, and then have the separate check written right there, or set aside, printed out for you right there, okay? And it holds up to 3 checks, okay? So that one, yeah, you have the same perforated line that you can tear, and you can separate your checks there. Wallet style. Wallet style is very similar to the standard, except if you've ever seen this, like, okay, for another example, is going to be the paycheck, right? Your paycheck can either come in a full standard size piece of paper, or it comes into that little itty bitty paper that's double sided, and you tear it open, and then you can perforate it. It's a small check, right? That's exactly what wallet style is. It's that kind of size. It is smaller than $1, but I think in height it's bigger. But in this case, it is considered a wallet size check. So those are the options that you can have. Now, most cases, right, if you decide to print on standard, which is recommended if you're just paying your bills off, you don't need to waste paper by putting balance information on there. This isn't a paycheck, right? This is just a regular check that you want to write out. You do have a couple options that you can choose. You can use a logo. You can enter in anything. You can even print signature image. Okay. Now, if I want to be printing a signature image, right? Of course, we have a digital copy of a signature. Okay. Because if you decide not to have a printed signature, what's going to happen is that when you print out your checks, you better hope that your boss is there in the office so they can sign the checks off and you can send them out. But most business practices, it's just so much easier to have a printed signature available, right? Obviously, you're going to run this through with the boss to ensure that these payments are accurate and that they're being made and that they're being validated and authorized to be using your signature. you're going to then provide it then. But if you are going to, you can click on the signature box. Now, once you click the signature box, right, now in this case, if you have a tablet that you can connect to your computer, that's what this is for. You're supposed to be able to take your pen and draw your signature here. But again, we're using a computer mouse, so unfortunately, that's just, you can't do it. It won't let you, okay? But in this case, I can also download a image. So one of the things that you're supposed to have in your file is that you're supposed to have the boss's signature, a digital copy of the signature. So let me find LVPTA, accounting, QuickBooks class, student portable file, and it should be located here under SIG. There it is, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and click on it. So again, the boss, it says, "Are you sure you want to make a copy of this image?" You say, okay. There it is. That is the owner. The owner is Mr. Vern Black, okay? And I say, okay, he gave me the authorization to print his signature on there, and I will click okay. So now that that's on there, I have printed signature selected, etc., and I'm ready to go ahead and click that print button, okay? Now I have mine sent to my my Microsoft digital printing little printer here, so I'm not actually really wasting paper per se for this transaction or for this class. I'm just simply using a digital printing system. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and find your folder, and I'm going to name this as Chapter 4 Expenses Checks, okay? And I'm going to save it there. So now I have a digital copy of those checks, okay? Once you've done that and you printed out your checks, there's a few things that you can do. It just gives you just a validation of making sure that this is what you wanted, and that if you need to, look at them, modify them. But in this case, I can just click OK. So now that my checks have been printed, let's take a look now at my check register, because now what's going to happen is that my to be printed has now converted to 603, 6002, 6001. Okay? All right? Any questions?
I don't have any.
Okay. All right. So just as easy as writing and printing out a check, once again, QuickBooks makes it that much easier, okay? Now, let's say for some reason you sent out the wrong check out to the wrong person, or you forgot to add something there, or etc., etc. What you can do is you can void your checks, okay? They make it simple and easy enough for you to do. And on top of that, they recommend you to void a check versus just take it out of the system, cancel it, and delete it. No, 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 no. We can void checks. It is completely valid, and that is the proper way to dispose a check if you need to rewrite one for some reason, okay? So in order to do that, see here we're already on the check register. That makes it easier for us. So we're going to take a look at check number 6003, right, for Wong and Son, okay? Maybe we forgot to add something on here, or the payment was overdue, so we need to add an extra charge in there. For whatever reasons it is, you can go ahead and double click on that check itself. So this is what the check looks like digitally. And of course, if you go to edit, you have the option to void the edit. You have the option to void this payment, okay? Now they only show you that way. There's one more way you can also do it too. It's really quick and real easy. Is that if I want to, I can just right click on this bill, and right here I have the option to void this bill payment. Now, once I void it, that's it. You can't undo a void. You can't undo it. So make sure this is exactly what you want, okay? You cannot undo it. Okay? So once I voided my check, it's going to prompt me right here that this check has been voided, and you're going to see that the money went back to your bank account. Okay? In this case, we haven't even sent the check out. So you're able to revoke it, reprint it, whatever reasons that you need to use it. However, you are not able to use check number 6003 anymore. Unfortunately, you have to continue on and write a new check or with a new check number. Okay, once it's been used in the system, once it's been printed, you cannot use the same check number. Okay, this is QuickBooks' way of preventing from fraud. Okay, is that if you're going to void a check, which is the best thing to do, you never want to delete it because you're going to have a hole in your transactions and it's going to throw off a lot of your reports. In this case, that's the best way to do it. Right click it, click void, reprint a new check, and call it a day. Right? Any questions there? That one's pretty straightforward. Okay. No?
You didn't tell us to press record.
Press record?
Yeah, in the book it says after you void it, at the end it says press record down at the bottom.
Oh, that's if you double click it and you do it through the edit and you click void check, then you have to press that OK. In this case, I did it manually through my check register, so it already validated it for me. Okay, yes. Okay, so it already validated it for me.
So you have to take the extra step then, okay.
Well, no, because there's multiple ways to be able to do a transaction. I just chose the easiest. Okay. All right, QuickBooks lets you do this, but you need to be careful, okay? Yes, okay. This total amount, okay, yes. Okay. I don't know why I can't leave the page. It won't let me leave. Okay, I'm stuck now. But it should tell you that it's voided, it's gone, it's done with. Let me see if I could redo it again. I'll do it the correct way. I'll go to transactions, delete. Once again, once you're there, you cannot undo once again. So I don't know why I can't leave. Okay. Okay, I'm just click no. Let's see, will let me leave. There you go.
It was.
Yeah, so once again, on my end, I don't need to press that extra record button because I already manually did it right here in the check register and it already canceled it. And it told me right here, it told me that it's voided already. Okay, so that's that. Okay, did you have another question? So the next one here is going to be talking about petty cash. Now, what is petty cash? Petty cash is basically a small, tiny fund that a business has for, encountering minor business expenses, such as, buying postage stamps because they ran out, or to making an emergency stop to go pick up some extra supplies to get through the day while someone or does a purchase order. It could be for anything. Let's say if a package is delivered and they charge you money because you're accepting the packages, you may need to have authorization to be able to pay for it. But in this case, a petty cash is kind of like having the authorization right then and there. Okay, in case your boss isn't there to go ahead and give you the okay, the petty cash drawer is meant to make for any minor business expenses that you need to take care of while your business is operating. Because you can't take a minute and be like, sorry, I can't print anything because I have to wait till the stock paper ships in. No, you may have to take an emergency trip and take the petty cash money and make those purchases and bring it back and use it for that minor expense. Okay, so once again, that's what a petty cash does. Now, again, the book doesn't really tell you much detail on a petty cash is because not all businesses have a petty cash. But in case you do have a petty cash, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. All you really have to do is just create a separate bank account for petty cash. Okay, and how you're going to enter money in there is by using the deposits window, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes, not now, but you're going to be using the little window in the deposits section that allows you to have cash back. And what you're going to do with that cash back is you're going to link it to your petty cash fund. Okay, and that's where when you do your transactions, this is where you're actually directly taking it out from your petty cash. Okay? As, crazy as it sounds, that's how they keep track of it, is that they're actually taking it out from the petty cash drawer. Okay? All right. Next section is going to be tracking company credit cards. So, again, we live in the digital age where it's just so easy and convenient to use a credit card, right? Nowadays, people don't even carry checkbooks around in their pockets, right? It's so much easier. Nowadays, they use their phones to have their credit card information on there, and they can easily pay with their phone. Now, again, we're taking it back a notch where, we're using business credit cards or even personal credit cards, right? Because you can use this for both, right? So what you're going to have to do is you're going to first establish how many credit cards you're going to be using for this company, right? So in this case, right, if your business, right, you can have as many business credit cards as you'd like as long as you're able to pay them off. Right? So in this case, you can have anywhere from 5 to you maybe more than 5 business credit cards, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to create a liability account for every single credit card that you are going to be using for this company. Okay? So whether it's a Visa, MasterCard, American Express, whatever means that you were able to obtain a credit card, you're going to put that information into QuickBooks, and then you're going to basically use that as a means to charge your credit cards for the purpose of buying whatever you need. So in this case, right, how do we enter in a credit card transaction? So let's see here, right? I'm going to exit my checking account. Now, because, no, I don't want to exit the whole thing. Okay, so because we are taking a look at this, I'm just going to, because we are taking a look at credit cards being liabilities, right? It is going to be a completely separate account and register from your actual checking account. So you'll never ever see or use the checking account or check register or write a checks window to pay for a credit card transaction. Okay. Now, most cases, as we all know, the reason why we have to record the credit card transactions is so then we can do our duties and keep track of our records and also keep track of where our money's going, right? If we use a business credit card, we need to record it in QuickBooks because QuickBooks is not going to know how you got these supplies. QuickBooks is not going to know where you paid the rent from, and that's why you need to, if you're going to use a credit card, you need to use the enter credit card transaction option here on your home page, okay? That's one right there. Okay, enter credit card transactions, or you can go up to the banking menu and be able to enter credit card transactions right there as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive right into the example here. Okay, so here we're entering a credit card transaction. We're going to create one for the National Bank Visa credit card, so make sure that is the one that we have. And in this case, that's the only one that we have, National Bank Visa credit card, okay? And you have options here. Are you using as a refund, or are you using as a purchasing? Or in this case, we are using it for purchasing, okay? For purchasing power, okay? We're going to go ahead and buy stuff from Bay Office Supplies once again. Okay. So who are we doing this at? Bay Office Supplies. I think it's supposed to be East Bay. East Bay. But that's okay. East, in this case, it's Bay Office Supplies. Okay. We're purchasing, yet again, more supplies for the business. So in this case, let's take a look. We charged on the credit card $86.48. $86.48. Okay. And let's take a look for, we bought printer ink. Okay, straightforward. Now here, the account is going to be office supplies. Okay, so office supplies. Here we are. Okay, for the amount of $86.48, and this is for the purpose of buying printer ink. Okay, we ran out of ink, so we gotta go buy it, and instead of waiting for the next shipment to come in. Now, as far as the date, it could be selective. In this case, it says that we bought these, the printer ink. Let's see. We bought it on the 24th of February. Okay. And the reference number, once again, your reference number is basically going to be your transaction number. So whatever number that's on the receipt of this store is what you're going to use for the reference number. In this case, it's 65432. Okay. And again, we bought this printer ink for the San Jose location. Okay. San Jose. Right? There we go. Just like that, we decided to purchase this, and then I'm going to go ahead and copy this memo here and paste it up here that we bought printer ink. Okay. For $86.48. Okay. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close. I get that beep of approval. Okay. Now, where did my credit card transactions go? Can anybody take a guess? Where can I find my credit card transactions? Because where can I go? Where did you say that? Where?
The credit card charge.
Well, let's click on it. Does that tell me what happened to my credit card? What happened to my $86? Where did it go? Well, how can I see it?
I don't know.
Okay.
To your bills?
Bills, no, because that wasn't a bill. I paid in store. What was that?
I was asking if we go into the chart of accounts,
Chart of accounts.
credit card account.
Chart of accounts, credit card. So what was it? National Bank Visa. Okay, so national 200 through 200, 200, 200, 200, 200, 200, 200, National Bank Visa. If I double click on it, that is correct. That is how you're able to find out where your list of transactions are. So in this case, let's take a look. So I made a payment to this credit card prior, before making this the $86.48 charge. Okay, so this is my transaction that I can actually take a look at. And viewing it this way, right, lets me know this should match my credit card statement when I receive it in the mail. Okay, and we'll talk about that in chapter 5. Okay, so this is exactly where I can find my transactions. Okay, so that's one way. Once again, if you guys vaguely remember, if I go to banking and I go ahead and click registers, right? If I go to, okay, hold on, let me close this register first. If I go to banking on the menu bar, okay, and I click use registers, it's going to give me a drop down list of every single account that has a register. So I'd be able to go ahead and dive right into my National Visa Bank credit card right there, and it will pop up the same exact window. Okay, so those are the two ways that you can access your transactions for your credit card statements, right? The actual credit card register. Okay, any questions there?
I have a question.
Go for it.
The book had us also pay another credit card bill. Were we going to do that too?
Let's see. For the
For,
Rodriguez. I have it on my stuff, but in this case, I'm gonna just have you guys do it. We don't have enough time because there's so much more other stuff I have to do as well. So once again,
well, I did it just because I was that far along, so I just wanted to make sure whether I had to undo it or something.
No, because we're not. No, you don't have to. Any transactions that you do ahead of class in the book, it's whatever you'd like, right? This is for practice purposes only. We're not gonna pay. We're not gonna pay the credit card, but I'm gonna show you what you can do in order to pay for that credit card. So let's say, when you receive your statement, right, you can actually use the write a checks window to go ahead and pay for it, because what you're going to do is it's going to come from your checking account, and what you're going to do is you're going to write it out to the National Visa credit card, okay, National Bank, okay. And when your account that you're going to be paying off is going to be your National Visa Gold credit card. And for whatever amount that you want to pay is where you're going to place it here. All right? And that's how you pay your credit card statements off. Now, if you choose not to pay it off, you do have two options. You can either choose to enter in a bill, and we'll talk about this in chapter 5 once again, because chapter 5 is where we're going to take a look at our bank reconciliation. We're going to make a payment to our credit card. But I want to make sure that you guys understand this, because this is kind of like, well, what happens when I need to pay my credit card? This is what you do. You're just going to simply write a check. Whether you paid electronically, you can also enter that in as well, saying, I paid through my checking account, but I didn't pay with a check. I paid digitally, or I paid online. So I'm going to use an EFT instead of an actual check number. Okay? And when you do that, and you click save and close, it's going to enter that you made a payment to the credit card on the actual credit card register. Okay? So you're going to be having the vendor, National Bank, and the account is going to be that liability account. Okay? And you're going to make a payment to it. All right, so I just wanted to kind of give you a little quick overview on that, but that's as far as credit cards I'm going to be going over. Okay. All right, let's see. So that was dealing with credit cards. So it shows in your book how to make a payment to your credit card. So once again, if you want to go ahead and do that, you may do so. But I'm going to skip ahead because once again, It's just pretty much just reading the book and being able to process it. I already did it. I already showed you kind of like an example of what to do. Okay. But in this case, we are kind of short on time, so I just want to make sure that we get through this last section here. Okay. This last section here is going to be talking about what happens when you have vendor returns / vendor credits. Okay. Now, this is when you make purchases of items and for any reason that you need to make a refund, right? Maybe they sent you some damaged goods or they sent you the wrong product. The list can go on and on and on about how a vendor can be giving you the wrong stuff, or you just simply don't like this customer, or I'm sorry, this vendor, and you just want to go to another person. There are many reasons why there is such thing as a vendor refund, okay? And how we treat the refunds is going to be, we're going to be using a vendor credit, okay? Now, in this example, we're going to use this vendor credit as similar to a discount, okay? So, so for this example here, we're going to say that we were receiving something for Mr. Bob Mason, okay? And in the end, we end up getting a credit of $25. So first things first is you need to enter in the bill first, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and enter in the bill for Mr. Bob Mason from the Nellis Distributing, okay? Again, time could be relative, right? In this case, let's see what I have here. Okay, so here, vendor credit, we're going to be entering a bill for Nellis Distributing for February 17. Okay, February 17. Okay, and reference number, once again, this number is going to be reference number 5088. Okay, and the amount is for $300. Okay, and we actually got custom framing, which we're going to select this as a cost of goods sold. Okay, and this is for custom framing. Right, I have it there for my memo. I'm going to copy paste this right here, up here in this memo right here. Now, customer, once again, I bought this for Mr. Bob Mason, okay? And he belongs to the San Jose location, all right? So I first have to record the bill first before I can receive a credit, okay? So there you go, I have that. Now, because for some reason, maybe the vendor was being very nice and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and grant you a credit of $25, which you can apply it to the invoice, right? It could be a discount code. It could be a voucher or whatever it is that you received from them, okay? Now, let's talk about how we can actually create the credit, all right? Now, any way that you can enter in a bill, okay, at the very top of the window, there is credit. All right, if I click on that, it's going to become a vendor credit. Okay, and I'm going to say that this one came from Nellis Distributing. All right, and I'm going to say it's the same day because once again, when we pay it, it's going to be a completely different story. And in this case, it's going to be 5088 with a letter C for credit. Or I'm sorry, not dash. C for credit. Okay? And I'm going to say that he granted us a $25 credit. And it's going to be, okay, so enter credit, Nellis Distributing. It's going to be for purchase discount. okay, for $25. So once again, this is going to be purchase discounts, okay? Now again, it's up to you if you want to select the class. Once again, since it was for Bob Mason, I'm going to say it's for the San Jose location, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and save and close, right? Now let's talk about what happens when Bob decides to pay for it, okay? When Bob decides to pay for it, or if I, hello?
Still here.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, my computer flashed off for a second. So when I decide to pay for it, right, because I get to receive this discount, right, I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Now what's going to happen here is down below, I'm going to take a look at my options, right? I obviously wasn't given any terms, but I was given a credit. So I click on set credits, and here what pops up is that I have this little window that pretty much tells me that, hey, okay, this is, or you want to apply this $25 voucher or this $25 credit for this invoice. And I'm gonna click OK because it is credited for invoice number 5088C, which is directly correlated to my bill for 5088. Okay. Now that I applied it, let's take a look up here. Right, my original bill is due for $300. I have a credit for $25. So therefore, the total amount that I need to pay is $275. And that's how you can use a vendor credit, okay? Once again, most cases, vendor credits, if you're using it because you're returning an item, most likely what they do is they take that amount, they have two options to apply it. They either apply it to your current invoice to lower the accounts payable that you have to pay, or they retain it as a credit for you to use for future purchases, okay? Most cases, the future purchases is always going to be the best option for most merchants and most vendors, okay? So once I see that, right, then I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and click here saying that I am going to pay on the 20th. I don't know, with a check, and I'm going to print it later. So now I'm going to go ahead and say pay scheduled paychecks. Okay? So that is how you apply a vendor credit. Okay? Now, again, refunds. You just have to make sure that you do create an account from the vendor, and you would just apply it just exactly how I just did, right? You would request for either to apply that to another invoice, or if you have it requested to apply it to the current invoice, then that's what you do. You take exactly what I did. You create a credit from the vendor, and then you go ahead and apply it to your actual bill, and then if you pay for it, then etc. etc. Okay? Any questions there?
If you if you forgot to apply the discount, you can do it on a different bill that is at different vendor, right?
Say that again. If you forgot to.
If you forgot to apply the discount on this bill, so you can do it on a different one. I say that on the because on the site when you did all this process is
Uh-huh.
say how much you pay or it's on or stuff like that.
Mhm.
So and you see the discount there. So if it's have another bill to pay, so we can apply on a different one if you forgot. Huh?
No.
No.
Unless it's specified, because in this case you're demanding a refund or you're getting a credit on a particular bill or a particular item. You can't just apply a vendor credit anywhere unless the merchant says you have available credit to apply to another invoice. And
You can
that's
apply like just a discount, no, not the amount that is on, just like a discount $25 or on a different bill.
it depends on your vendor. Most cases they do apply it to the next invoice or the next bill. Let's say you purchase another item from that same person, they're more likely to give you that credit instead of tell you to pay it for this bill. That's just most cases, but in this case, in this very scenario here, this is a vendor credit that they gave you for this particular bill. So that's the fine line, is that sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. It just depends on the merchant and the vendor. But if you forgot to add it in there, unfortunately, what you have to do is you're gonna have to
Invoice. Oh,
undo it, and correct it that way.
okay.
Yes, you can undo transactions.
Transaction.
Yes, you can.
How?
Uh,
An invoice? You do an invoice and then you create again the bill and.
no. Because if you create another bill, you're going to overstate your bills, or you're gonna mess up your transaction. So up here, okay, not this one. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna have to undo it or cancel it, and when you cancel it, it will undo it for you. So if you made a bill payment, right, you're just gonna have to locate it in your check register, and you're just gonna have to void it. And when you void it, it's gonna repopulate that bill again. So here, the bill payment for this one, if I click void, it's gonna undo it.
But it's still there because you didn't pay for that.
I did pay for it.
Oh, you did pay. Okay.
That's the only way that you're gonna be able to undo it. Or let's say if I click on here, I do have the undo button at the top of the window. Okay.
Okay, more or less. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, all right. A lot mistakes happen a lot in QuickBooks, and that's why they say, well, in this case, right, you would just void the transaction, and instead of adding it in again, you're going to make your expenses look bigger than they actually are. Okay. Best rule of thumb is to never delete anything. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any questions else? So we have a lot left to go over for this chapter. We still got vendor deposits. We still got vendors that refund over payment. Okay. We still got accounts payable reports. Okay, the reports are pretty easy. And tracking your loans. Oh, I do want to go over that. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do is, let's go. Let me see, what time is it? I think this is what I'm going to have you guys do for today, is that we'll just finish up as much as we can for the chapter. Okay, so I'm going to show you what happens when you need to do a vendor deposit. And what is it tomorrow? We'll continue on with the rest of chapter 4. Okay, and then we'll go from there. And hopefully, because chapter 13 is very, very short. So that's something I could do within half a day. So I could just go ahead and overlap it. So for today, once again, we're just going to go over one more section in chapter 4 and then continue on with chapter 4 tomorrow. Okay? Okay, so last section that we have here is going to be what happens when a vendor requires a deposit. Okay, so this is a very, very popular one, just because the use of vendors requiring down payments or deposits. This one is a common one, because a lot of vendors, right, they're looking to you to you know, they're looking to serve you and be a customer or a client. But the one thing that they require is that they don't know if they can trust you enough to, you know, basically have the project go through without an incentive. So usually, oftentimes, what happens is that um
I can hear you.
oh, okay, sorry. That oftentimes what happens is that a lot of vendors, they want some kind of incentive for you to be able to you know, to guarantee that this sale is actually going to happen. Um, so once again, when that happens, excuse me, sorry, my screen went out. So usually what happens is that a lot of vendors are going to have some kind of deposit or a requirement of a down payment to ensure that the job will get done. And but also with that, but also let's say you back out of that situation, then you know, at least the you know, the vendor doesn't have to be pocketed out of so much money, as well as you know, they don't have to waste their time. At least they got a portion of the sales recorded in their books. Okay. You know what? I think I'm having I'm having issues with my screen right now, so I can't seem to get my screen to be turning on. So what I'm gonna actually have you guys do is we're gonna end class here. I think it's time to end class. So with that being said, sorry about that, guys. I'm just kind of figuring out why my screen isn't turning on. Okay. So
There was times where your volume
mhm.
was dropping off for a while and coming back. Maybe your internet's being a little fuzzy.
No, this is my screen for sure. 100% my
Oh,
screen. Yeah, I can't turn.
okay.
It's running in the background because like it's connected to a monitor, but the monitor's not turning on. So I do apologize, class. I'm just gonna have
Okay.
to end the class early. Yep. Okay. So with that being said, sorry guys, I can't turn on my screen for some reason. So I will end class today, and I'll see you guys all back here tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, well then,
I will do. Thank you.
thank you.
Good
Could
day.
could I have a minute? I can ask you about download information.
Yes. Just give me like 1 second. Let me try to figure this out real quick, and
Okay.
I'll go ahead and help you.